It's mad funny because I posted some Chappelle videos earlier this week, and I think it was the same day that he actually put out his new special. I saw people like updating about Chappelle's new special, and I'm like, huh? I just thought it was really weird, and then I'm seeing that the Sticks and Stones is out, so I'm like, okay, cool. Something that conjures up challenging ideologies must have been in the air. So a little bit later on, a Facebook friend of mine posted a video. It was an old clip of a sketch he'd done where he pokes fun at how words aren't offensive. It's the intent behind it that really matters, and usually this is very graphically illustrated if it's meant as an insult. The Mr. and Mrs. Nigars, who are a white couple from Middle America. Like, even further, I actually looked this up. There was actually a grand wizard of the clan from 79 to 81, a red named Don Black. Look up Don Black and what he was about. Like, if you if you even look up the Ku Klux Klan, you'll look at their political stance and you'll understand what they're about. But anyway, I read some of the reviews, and sometimes I have to wonder if people who review comedy shows, music, films, cultural stuff, like actually expose themselves to the totality of whatever they've been asked to review and write a piece about. Like, his comedy is like all ideology. If you read any of the reviews out there, you see clearly how groups angle their take, and they pick and choose snippets to muster support from those who have no idea who he is. Like, it's like if you've chosen a political label for yourself and then announced that you are whatever it is, you're not really convinced of its purpose, because you shouldn't need to state that you are XYZ if you weren't behaving as one before or already had tendencies towards it. So it's like if you subscribe to being a feminist, LGBT, white, Asian, gay, straight, black, whatever, like, you notice how people seem to switch personalities when they sign up to a new label. I am this kind of woke, so I must move like this. I must behave. I must do these kind of things because this is in line with this ideology. That's the story that you're told by someone else about how you're supposed to behave, about how you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to think, what you're supposed to, like, what you're supposed to be around. Like, people are preying on your emotions, and you let them, like, you unconsciously let them prey on your emotions. This is why people tell you to be around like-minded people, because you become the circle rather than the circle becoming you. Like, he very clearly illustrates this for me by saying, you clicked on my face, you watched his special, and then decided you want to kick up a fuss about the comedy he does. Like, it doesn't make any sense because you already know what Chappelle is about. So it makes no sense for you to be upset when you already know that he does the type of comedy that potentially could make you upset. You know, he's been pretty consistent throughout his whole career in stand up, and this continues the pattern. Like, I do think he focused and kind of amped it up for this one though. I guess it's kind of his response to what he's seeing and what he's been experiencing. Like, you kind of get a sense where there's a lot of personal kind of insight that you gain in terms of how his perspective on things and his perspective of the audience. It's quite funny actually because he does this, these two impressions. I won't I won't explain what it is, but the two impressions that he does, the way that he flips it around was quite interesting, because it was like, oh, okay, something to think about. But if anything, like, for me, like, I think that he pushed the boundary a bit more than usual, but it's kind of like, well, would you be surprised if a dog barked? Like, it's what he does. Like, you have to expect it now. If anything, men should be upset, because he's certainly seen as a men's comic. Dark humor tends to be, but he avidly talks about supporting the positive choices of everyone from a serious standpoint. So I don't really know why people get upset. Like, personally, he wants you to feel good about yourself and life. Every now and then he gives you glimpses of what he actually believes, but returns to his comic self to deliver a joke. Also, notice how he commands his audience, well, takes them on a journey through a story he's observed, whether or not he's experienced it personally, and flips the narrative or transforms it into something you may or may not have thought and stretches you a little more. In fact, dark humor is very emotionally led. It's relevant and topical comedy. He pokes fun at everybody. So why would you be offended when you know this is what he does? It's Rick James. Would you expect any different?